A cold wind brushed across the quiet street as Emily stepped out of her apartment, pulling her jacket tighter around her. The sky was painted with fading orange and purple, but inside her heart, everything felt gray. Ever since her husband had left without a word 6 months ago, every day felt heavier than the last. She had stopped believing in surprises, stopped believing that anything good could still happen. She was about to lock the door when she noticed a small package sitting on her doorstep. No return address, just her name written in neat handwriting. Emily frowned. She wasn't expecting anything. Slowly, she picked it up and brought it inside. The box was light. When she opened it, she found a simple silver bracelet inside and a small folded note. Her hands trembled as she read it. Some things are lost, but not forgotten. Her heart skipped. The handwriting looked familiar. Painful memories rushed back. Her husband, Daniel, used to write exactly like this. "No," she whispered. "That's impossible." Daniel had disappeared after a massive argument. He had accused her of hiding something from him, something about his past. She never got the chance to explain before he walked out and never came back. Emily tried calling his number again, even though she had done it 1,000 times before, still disconnected. That night, she couldn't sleep. The bracelet lay on her nightstand, glowing softly under the lamp. Something inside her told her this wasn't a coincidence. The next morning, she received another package. This time, it was a photograph. Daniel was standing in front of an old red house at the edge of town. On the back of the photo was a single word written in black ink: "Come." Emily's heart pounded. That house had been abandoned for years. Everyone in town said it was haunted, cursed after a family vanished there long ago. She tried to ignore it, but curiosity and longing pulled her in. By evening, she was driving toward the old house, her hands gripping the steering wheel as fear and hope twisted inside her. The old house stood at the end of a dirt road, hidden by tall, dead trees. The windows were dark, and the front door creaked as she pushed it open. "Daniel?" she called softly. Only silence answered. Inside, dust covered everything. Old furniture was scattered as if someone had left in a hurry. Emily walked deeper, her footsteps echoing. Suddenly, she saw a faint light coming from the basement. Her heart raced as she slowly went down the stairs. At the bottom, she saw Daniel sitting on a wooden chair, his face pale, his eyes tired but filled with emotion. "Emily," he whispered. She ran to him and dropped to her knees. "Where have you been? Why did you leave me?" Tears filled his eyes. "I left because I thought you betrayed me. I thought you knew the truth about my family and kept it from me." Emily shook her head. "I didn't know anything, Daniel, I swear." He looked at her, searching her eyes. "Then why did I find records about my parents in your father's old files?" Emily froze. Memories flooded back. Her father used to be a private investigator. After he died, she inherited boxes of his old work. She never looked through most of them. "I didn't even know those files existed," she said softly. Daniel stood up slowly. "My parents disappeared when I was a child. I always believed they abandoned me, but those files showed they were being watched, followed." Emily's breath caught. Followed by who? Before Daniel could answer, a sound came from upstairs. Footsteps. Someone else was in the house. Daniel grabbed Emily's hand. "They found us." "Who?" she whispered. "The people who made my parents disappear." The footsteps grew louder. A shadow moved across the basement door. Daniel pulled Emily behind him. "I sent you those packages because I didn't know who to trust. I knew they were watching me." The basement door slowly opened. A man in a dark coat stood there, his face cold and emotionless. "You shouldn't have come back," the man said coldly. Emily felt her blood turn cold. "What do you want?" The man smiled faintly. "To clean up unfinished business." Daniel stepped forward. "Leave her alone. This is between you and me." The man laughed. "It was never just you." Suddenly, sirens wailed in the distance. The man's smile vanished. He turned and ran up the stairs. Daniel exhaled shakily. "I called the police earlier. I hoped they'd come in time." Minutes later, officers stormed the house. The man was arrested outside, trying to escape. Emily and Daniel stood together, shaking but alive. Later, sitting on the steps of the house, Daniel looked at Emily. "I'm sorry I left. I should have trusted you." Emily and Daniel sat silently in the back of the police car as flashing red and blue lights washed over their faces. The night air felt colder than before, but this time it was not just fear. It was the weight of truth finally beginning to surface. Daniel kept staring at his hands, as if he were still trying to convince himself that everything he had just seen was real. At the station, they were questioned for hours. Emily told the officers about the packages, the photographs, and the strange notes. Daniel spoke about his parents, the files he had found, and the man who had chased them. When the officers finally left them alone in a small waiting room, exhaustion hit them both. "I never wanted to drag you into this," Daniel said quietly. "I thought staying away would protect you." Emily shook her head. "You didn't protect me. You just left me confused and broken." Daniel looked down. "I know, and I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you if you let me." Before Emily could answer, a detective entered the room. His face was serious. "The man we arrested tonight is just a piece of a much bigger puzzle. He was working for a private organization that specializes in making people disappear." Emily felt her stomach drop. "Disappear?" The detective nodded. "Your parents, Daniel, were part of an investigation into illegal surveillance and identity theft. They got too close. That organization erased them." Daniel's eyes filled with tears. "So they're really gone?" "We don't know yet," the detective replied, "but we found evidence that they might have been kept alive for some time." Hope flickered inside Daniel's chest. Then there's still a chance. That night, Emily and Daniel returned to Emily's apartment. Neither of them wanted to be alone. The city outside was quiet, but their minds were loud with questions. "I found my father's old boxes in storage. Maybe if he was investigating your parents, there's more in there." They drove to a small storage facility on the edge of town. Dust filled the air as Emily opened the locker. Inside were dozens of boxes labeled with dates and names. They spent hours searching until Daniel found one marked with his family name. Inside were photos, reports, and recordings. One file stood out, a video. Emily pressed play. On the screen, Daniel's mother appeared. Her face was tired but determined. "If anyone finds this," she said, "it means we didn't make it out, but our son needs to know we never left him. We were taken because we refused to give them the list." Daniel's hands shook. "What list?" The video continued. "A list of powerful people involved in surveillance, illegal data trafficking, and disappearances. If this ever reaches you, it means the truth can finally come out." Emily and Daniel stared at each other. "That's why they were hunted," Emily whispered. Suddenly, the lights in the storage unit flickered. Daniel froze. "We're not alone." Footsteps echoed outside. Emily grabbed the files. "We have to go." They rushed out the back door just as a black van pulled up in front of the unit. Two men stepped out, scanning the area. Emily and Daniel ran into the dark, hearts pounding, carrying the secrets that could destroy powerful people. This time, they were not just running for themselves. They were running for the truth. Emily and Daniel didn't stop running until their lungs burned and their legs felt like they would collapse. They hid behind an old warehouse near the river, the cold concrete pressing against their backs as they tried to quiet their breathing. The black van's engine could still be heard in the distance, searching. "They're not going to stop," Emily whispered. "Not now that they know we have the files." Daniel looked at the box of documents in his hands. "My parents died for this. I won't let it disappear again." After a long moment, the van drove away. Silence returned, but neither of them felt safe. They knew they couldn't go back to Emily's apartment. Too many people might be watching. Daniel remembered an old motel on the outskirts of the city where he used to stay when he was younger. It was cheap, forgotten, and perfect for hiding. Inside the dimly lit room, Emily spread the files across the bed. There were names, photos, bank records, and locations all over the country. Some of the people listed were politicians, tech executives, and powerful businessmen. "This is huge," Emily said. "If this gets out, everything changes." Daniel nodded. "That's why they killed for it." They found another flash drive hidden inside one of the folders. On it was an encrypted message. After hours of trying, Emily finally managed to open it. A new video appeared. It was Daniel's father. "If you are seeing this, then our enemies failed, but you must be careful. There is someone inside law enforcement working for them. Trust no one, not even the people who seem to be helping you." Emily felt a chill run through her. So the police might not be on our side. Daniel's jaw tightened. That detective at the station, he knew too much. Suddenly, there was a knock on the motel door. Emily froze. "Police," a voice called. "Open up." Daniel's heart started racing. He remembered his father's warning. Emily whispered, "What if it's him?" Daniel slowly reached for the back window. "If it's not safe, we run." The knock came again, louder. "Open the door now." Daniel held his breath and opened it just a crack. 2 officers stood outside. One of them was the same detective from the station. "We just want to talk," the detective said calmly. Emily could see his eyes move toward the bed where the files were barely covered by a blanket. Daniel stepped forward, blocking the view. "We already told you everything." The detective smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "I'm afraid that's not enough." At that moment, the second officer's phone rang. He stepped away to answer. Daniel leaned close to Emily and whispered, "Get ready." Suddenly, the detective reached inside his jacket. Daniel reacted instantly, slamming the door and pushing a dresser against it. "Run!" he shouted. Emily grabbed the files as Daniel smashed the back window. They jumped out just as the door burst open behind them. They ran into the darkness once again. Hunted, but now fully awake to the danger around them. This was no longer just about the past. It was a fight for their lives. Rain poured from the sky as Emily and Daniel ran through the empty streets, their shoes splashing through puddles, their hearts beating like thunder. They didn't look back. They couldn't. Every shadow felt like someone chasing them. Every passing car made them flinch. They finally took shelter under an old highway bridge, soaked and trembling. Daniel pressed his back against a cold pillar, clutching the files like they were their last breath. "We can't keep running forever," Emily said, wiping rain from her eyes. "We need someone we can trust." Daniel closed his eyes for a moment. "There is one person, my mother's old friend. She disappeared years ago, but my parents always said if things went wrong, she would be the only one who could help." "Where is she?" "Last I heard, she was living off-grid in the mountains." Emily hesitated, then nodded. "Then that's where we go." By morning, they had stolen a car from a quiet side street and were driving far away from the city. As the skyline faded behind them, the world turned into long, empty highways and thick forests. For the first time, it felt like they were leaving danger behind, but deep down, both of them knew it wasn't that simple. Hours later, they arrived at a small, hidden cabin surrounded by tall pine trees. Smoke gently rose from the chimney. "She's here," Daniel whispered. They knocked. A woman in her late 50s opened the door. Her eyes widened when she saw Daniel. "I knew this day would come. You look just like your father." Inside the cabin, the woman introduced herself as Clara. She listened carefully as Daniel and Emily told her everything. When they finished, she sighed. Your parents were heroes. They tried to stop a powerful group that controls information, people, and even governments. That list you have could destroy them. Emily felt a chill. Then why haven't they been exposed yet? Because they always silence anyone who gets too close, Clara replied. Daniel clenched his fists. Not this time. Clara took them to a hidden room beneath the cabin. There were computers, radios, and old surveillance equipment. I've been waiting for this, she said. With what you have, we can finally release the truth to the world. But before they could celebrate, a loud noise came from outside. Engines. Daniel rushed to the window. Black SUVs were pulling into the forest. They found us, Daniel whispered. Clara reached for a hidden shotgun. Then we don't have much time. Emily's heart pounded. What do we do? Clara looked at them with calm determination. We finish what your parents started. As the cabin lights flickered, the fate of all three of them hung in the balance.